All right, lunchtime. We're on 2 Chronicles chapter 14. So Abiah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David. And Asa his son reigned in his place. In his days the land rested 10 years. And Asa did what was good and what was right in the eyes of Jehovah his Elohim, and removed the slaughter places of the stranger and the high places, and broke down the pillars and cut down the Asherim, and commanded Yehudah to seek Jehovah Elohim of their fathers, and to do the Torah and the command. And he removed the high places and the sun pillars from all the cities of Yehudah, and the rain rested under him. And he built cities of defense in Yehudah, since the land had rest. And he had no fighting in those years, because Jehovah had given him rest. And he said to Yehudah, "Let us build these cities, and make walls around them, and towers, gates, and bars, while the land is yet before us, because we have sought Jehovah our Elohim. We have sought, and he has given us rest all around." So they built and prospered. And Asa had an army of 300,000 men from Yehudah, bearing shields and spears, and from Benjamin 280,000 men, bearing shields, and drew bows. All of them were mighty brave men. And Zerah the Cushite came out against them with an army of 1,000,000 men and 300 chariots, and he came to Marashah. And Asa went out against him, and they set battle in array in the valley of Sephatah at Marashah. And Asa called to Jehovah his Elohim and said, "Jehovah, there is no one but you to help between the mighty and the powerless. Help us, O Jehovah our Elohim, for we rest on you, and in your name we go against this crowd. O Jehovah, you are our Elohim. Do not let man prevail against you." So Jehovah smote the Cushites before Asa, and Yehudah and the Cushites fled. And Asa and the people who were with him pursued them to Gerar. And the Cushites fell until none was left alive for them, for they were broken before Jehovah and his army, and they took very much spoil, and struck all the cities around Gerar, for the fear of Jehovah came upon them. And they plundered all the cities, for there was exceedingly much spoil in them. And they also struck the camps of the herdsmen, and captured many sheep and camels, and returned to Jerusalem. And the spirit of Elohim came upon Azaryahu, son of Oded, and he went out to face Asa, and said to him, "Hear me, Asa, and all Yehudah and Benjamin. Jehovah is with you while you are with him, and if you seek him, he is found by you. But if you forsake him, he forsakes you." And for many days Yisrael had been without the true Elohim, and without a Torah priest, and without Torah. But in their distress they turned to Jehovah, Elohim of Yisrael, and they sought him, and he was found by them. And in those days there was no peace to the one who went out, nor to the one who came in, for great disturbances were on all the inhabitants of the lands, and they were beaten down, nation by nation, and city by city, for Elohim troubled them with every distress. But you, be strong, and do not let your hands be feeble, for there is a reward for your work. And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he strengthened himself, and removed the abominations from all the land of Yehudah and Benjamin, and from the cities which he had taken in the mountains of Ephraim, and restored the slaughter place of Jehovah, that was before the porch of Jehovah, and gathered all Yehudah and Benjamin, and those who sojourned with them from Ephraim and Manasseh, and Shimon, for they came over to him in great numbers from Yisrael when they saw that Jehovah his Elohim was with him. And they gathered together at Yerushalayim in the 3rd new moon, in the 15th year of the reign of Asa, and slaughtered to Jehovah on that day 700 bulls and 7,000 sheep from the spoil which they had brought. And they entered into a covenant to seek Jehovah Elohim of their fathers with all their heart and with all their being. And whoever would not seek Jehovah Elohim of Israel would be put to death, from small to great, from man to woman. And they swore to Jehovah with a loud voice, with shouting and with trumpets and with shofaro. And all Yehudah rejoiced concerning the oath, for they had sworn with all their heart and sought him with all their being. And he was found by them, and Jehovah gave them rest all around. And he also removed Ma'akah, the mother of Asa the sovereign, from being sovereigness mother, because she had made an abominable image of Asherah, and crushed it, and burned it by the Wadi Kidron. Yet the high places were not removed from Israel. However, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days, and he brought into the house of Elohim the set-apart items of his father, and his own set-apart items, silver and gold and utensils. And there were no more fighting until the 35th year of the reign of Asa. In the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, the sovereign of Israel, came up against Yehudah and built Ramah to prevent anyone going out or coming into Asa, sovereign of Yehudah. And Asa brought silver and gold from the treasuries of the house of Jehovah and the sovereign's house, and sent to Ben-Hadad, sovereign of Aram, who dwelt in Damascus, saying, Let there be a covenant between you and me, as there was between my father and your father. See, I have set you silver and gold. Come, break your covenant with Baasha, sovereign of Israel, so that he withdraws from me. And Ben-Hadad listened to sovereign Asa, and sent the commanders of his armies against the cities of Israel, and they struck Ion and Dan and Abel-Maim, and all the storage cities of Naphtali. And it came to be when Baasha heard it, that he stopped building Ramah and ceased his work. Then Asa the sovereign brought all Yehudah, and they took away the stones and timber of Ramah, which Baasha had used for building. And with them he built Gabah and Mitzpah. And at that time Hanani the seer came to Asa, sovereign of Yehudah, and said to him, Because you have relied on the sovereign of Aram, and have not relied on Jehovah your Elohim, therefore the army of the sovereign of Aram has escaped from your hand. Were the Cushites and the Lubim not a mighty army, with very many chariots and horsemen? And because you relied on Jehovah, he gave them into your hand. For the eyes of Jehovah diligently search throughout all the earth, to show himself to be strong on behalf of those whose heart is perfect to him. You have acted foolishly in this, so from now on you shall have battles. And Asa was wroth with the seer, and put him in prison, for he was enraged at him because of this. And Asa oppressed some of the people at that time. And look, the acts of Asa, the first and the last, see, they are written in the book of the sovereigns of Yehudah and Israel. And in the 39th year of his reign, Asa became diseased in his feet, and his disease was severe. Yet even in his disease he did not seek Jehovah, but the physicians. So Asa slept with his fathers, and died in the 41st year of his reign. And they buried him in his burial site, which he had made for himself in the city of David. And they laid him in the bed, which was filled with spices and various kinds of ointments, mixed by the perfumer's skill. and they made a very great burning for him.